Ladies first, it's our time. I don't think you understand how amazing this is, how divine and creative this is. See, this is our time. We win. All the blood, sweat, and tears we put in, knowing these moments of pain would all end, and now it's our time. Ladies first, we all win. We're no longer last in the line, we begin them. No more competing with other women, we befriend them. No longer begging for a seat, not settling for crumbs. If there's money on the table, every bit we gonna eat. See, we've been sowing for far too long. Now it's harvesting time, and best believe we gonna reap. No more small stepping. We're creating bigger visions, and to them we run, we leap. Timid is no longer a language we speak. And I don't think they understand how amazing this is, how divine and creative this is. See, this is our time. We win. All the blood, sweat, and tears we put in, knowing these moments of pain would all end. And now it's our time. Ladies first, we all win. A shift in culture has happened and stimulated our rise to power. Some will say we stole it, but this is just how things unfold when women feel empowered. Speaking when we have something to say, not just when spoken to. Recognizing that our voice adds value and can be loud and commanding too. Yes, we birth nations, but we birth visions too. Yes, we've been held back, but we've always known how to push through with a resounding resiliency, redefining what it means to be a lady while creating a legacy. See, do you know and understand how amazing this is? How divine and creative this is? See, this is our time. We win. All the blood, sweat, and tears we put in, knowing these moments of pain would all end. And now it's our time. Ladies first, we all win.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the 2022 Ladies First Forum. Tonight we will focus on the top the topic redefining womanhood. Excuse me. Throughout this evening, we will receive personal accounts from our guests on their personal definition of womanhood. During an earlier brainstorm, we sat around and talked about what does womanhood really mean? Because when you take the word hood away from woman, it can also refer to where you came from as far as your neighborhood or your community, your family, or the job or career that you have. Audience, you will have an amazing evening hearing with women that will define womanhood based on their careers and or through their personal life choices. Through the purpose of tonight, we will hear from women on the topics that allow us to begin to think through solutions and issues in the areas of mental health, politics, and social engagement. But first, I have to bring back our amazing Miss Ellie B, who she had already told me that she came up with a piece for tonight, and I didn't believe it. I said, I can't believe she actually thought of me or this program and said, let me do something special. But she's been a part of Ladies First for what is this the second year or the third now?
I think this
It's
might be like
over.
this may be the fourth, the third or
This may
fourth.
It's
It's
maybe the fourth. You're right. So I want to tell you thank you so much. I know you know that when this is over, I go back and watch this. I'm gonna watch it over and over again. And then the next performance you do, you don't be like, L, do ladies first. I really, really truly enjoy anything that you do. So with that, I just have a question that's really gonna bring this all together. As an artist, a wife, a mother, and an entrepreneur, and so much more, how do you use your poetry to promote womanhood?
I mean, truth be told, I feel like I can't step away from motherhood, from womanhood, right? I can't step out of womanhood. No matter what area I'm in, no matter what arena I'm in, I'm always going to be a part of this womanhood. And so for me, everything that I write to some extent connects to womanhood. Whether it be my struggle and my journey to finding self, to loving self. I speak a lot about self-love. Or whether it be just me encouraging people to go out and just learn more about self. That is something that men can deal with as well. Men can tap in and tune into who they are and also struggle with self-love as well. But I feel like everything that I try to speak on, I speak on my life. And so in speaking on my life at all times, I feel like womanhood always is one of those things that is an underlying thing.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like everyone, because we're going to bring in our crew, is there anything else you'd like to let everyone know about who you are?
So I am a spoken word artist. I am a part of a collective by the name of Word Society, which stands for Writers of Raw Distinction. There are 7 of us. I am the only female in the crew. And I, you know what I'm saying, on my little Kim vibe or whatnot. But it's an incredible experience, honestly, to just be able to use my voice to be able to go out here and encourage others, to motivate others to be the best version of themselves. That's what I aim to do. And helping others to recognize too that we all have a voice and you can use that. Nobody has to be an echo.
Oh, we all have a voice. Nobody has to be an echo. Now I know on your Instagram, on your Instagram page, which I love, I can sit and just stream through your page. One, because you are a beautiful woman. Two, because you teach me ways. I mean, I like my hair before you did, but you style yours way better than I do. So I look through there and I see things that you do. But another thing that you do that's so amazing is you make sure to put some amazing quotes on your page. What inspires you to drop those quotes on your page? And also because your husband says this too, make sure you promote and let everybody know about your page, because I mean it's definitely somewhere to go to be inspired.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So truthfully, it seemed like I started to get a lot of traction on my page. People kept asking me about my hair, right? And people started to really like get into the raps that I was doing and things like that. But I felt like in doing that, I was gaining a big following, but I was not showing my authentic self. Like people weren't really getting to see who I am, who Ellie B is. They were only seeing like the locks and they were falling in love with the locks. But it's like, I got a lot to say and I want people to hear me as well. And so even though my poetry wasn't exactly coming through, I would share, you know, my poetry here and there. And I'm starting to do a little bit better now. But I wanted to make sure that when people came to my page, they weren't just coming for inspiration for their hair, but that they were able to walk away with something that they could use for their life. Like that they were able to step out of my page and be able to feel inspired to go out and thrive in their day. You know what I mean? To feel like, okay, I may have woken up today and it's been a little rocky this morning. You know, my bosses or whoever I work with may have already taken me there first thing. But like when I get on Instagram, because we all jump on Instagram when we get to work, when I jump on Instagram, hopefully they see my page, they see Ellie's page, and they're like, yo, like, she just gave me some words of encouragement, you know, told me something along the lines of like, don't let them people get to me today. You know what I mean? Like, I can't control them. I can at least control my responses to them, right? So I just try to figure out ways to make sure that people are taking something away from my page that is helping them to be the best version of themselves.
Well, go ahead and drop your IG page. Let the people know, because they need it. I know that like I said, I kind of
It's my IG. That's a shame.
There we go. Yes. So that beautiful. It's right there. So as you guys are tuning in, make sure to utilize Ellie B's IG page and check out more that she has on her page. She also shows you her beautiful family, and it's just, I think the page really reflects how much she loves being a woman, and how much being such an awesome woman, a mother, and all the things that she packages is just right there on her page. So I love it. All right, so Elle, it is time to bring in our beautiful sisters. That we're working on formulating a circle, and it gets bigger and bigger every year. And so I'm going to bring in first. Who can I see that I want to bring in first? I gotta look. Let's see. Let's bring in my sister, Miss Lakeitha Blinkley. How are you? You're on mute. I got you. Oh, you got to unmute yourself. You're still muted. Yep.
All right. My bad. I'm just chitting and chatting and completely muted. So I am Keitha B. I am an author, a playwright, actor, director, all things the arts. That is what I do. I use the work that I create to affect social change. A lot of the work I write, my personal work that I write, is based on the experiences of Black people in America. I am I would say, cultural creative consultant. I am working in the areas of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and adding on accessibility to that as well in the area of theater arts. One of the gifts that I've been blessed with is the ability to allow people to feel comfortable in a space. where we can talk about difficult subjects. We can have difficult conversations. For instance, I have a play called Sweet Gin. It is based on female slave narratives. It's a tough piece. It's a beautiful piece. It's a little bit of a love story because that's me. I'm always write that in. And it always ends on an up note because I always want people to leave encouraged. And then after the show, there is supposed to be a 10 to 15 minute talk back, but sometimes the talk back ends up as just as long as the play because people start to get comfortable and they will start to ask the questions that they really want to ask. And the goal is to leave changed. I believe that is the work of theater. You know, art reflects life and not the other way around. So when you come and you see a piece of art, be it a piece of theater, a painting, a poem, um, anything in the art world, you should leave changed. It should have some sort of effect on you. You should experience it. You know, every time I've heard you, Ellie, 3 times now. And every time I leave with a little nugget from you, which was now I know I have a voice. I'm not an echo. That's a lovely way of putting that. So put that in my bucket. So that'll be things I'm saying to my students. I'm in the middle of directing Babe the Sheep Pig. So if you are in the area, come see it. They're actually downstairs running the show right now. But that's me in a nutshell.
Well, I just had a brain fart. It was something I was getting ready to say about what you said, but you know what? I know it'll come back. So let me just go ahead and continue to add our friends. Up next, I'm going to add Miss, wait a minute, let me see. Oh, Miss Kwamikia Shavers. And make sure you unmute. There you
Good
go.
evening.
Good evening.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Kwame Kia Shavers. I am a realtor with Keller Williams Elite here in Winston-Salem. I am a spring 2011 graduate from WSSU. Go Rams. I'm also a political consultant. I have 3 kids. They are my life. And I do love the arts. I'm a dancer. Shirley and I used to dance together back in the day. That's how I first met her. And I'm just happy to be here on the panel.
And you're also a member of what?
Oh,
I'm proud of my sis because, you know, you're there.
Yes, I am a very, very proud member of the first African-American sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Well, you go, girl. Well, speaking of that, let me go ahead and bring in someone that's actually traveling on her way to conference, our one and only, our only student on the panel, Miss Jasmine Blair. How are you?
Hello, everyone. It's a little dark in here. Hold on. Okay, maybe it's a little better. Trying to get my lighting right. But hello, everyone. My name is Jasmine Blair. I am a junior psychology major with a minor in political science at Winston State University, and I am from Lancaster, South Carolina. I have been in many positions here at school. Humbly, though, I like to focus on inclusivity and making sure that every student at the university is impacted by the positions that I am in, and I think that that is something that is really important to me. And I am also a member of the number one Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I am a Fall 21 initiate, and I am on the way to the Mid-Atlantic Conference right now, so that is why I am in the car. But I'm very happy to be here with all of these lovely women that can impact me, and hopefully I can add a little bit of my young sauce to this conversation.
I love the young sauce. Come on. Now I might as well round it off and go ahead and bring in one other of y'all sisters, Miss Destiny McKinney. Go ahead with the sisterhood. Yeah, go ahead with what y'all do. Okay. And I'll say this is one of my dearest friends. I mean, I'm gonna say everybody that's on here, pretty much my best friend. Jasmine, when you graduate, you'll be able to be my best friend outside of school. But she's coming all the way from Philadelphia. Destiny, what's up?
Good evening, y'all. I was just laughing at the sauce. I was just thinking, I was like, so I guess we got the juice from back in the day. Y'all got the sauce, huh? All right.
You know,
It just cracked me up. I'm sorry. I like that. I'm Destiny McKinney. I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I am a Grambling graduate from back in the day, and former college athlete. And today, in the present time, I am a mother of 5, a partner to 1, and working on my PhD in adult education. I am a community builder. I'm an educator. I'm an activist. I'm a lover. I will fight you if I have to. And I think that's about it.
I mean, if you end it with "I'll fight you if I have to," I mean, I don't
You
think
know, I think it's because, and I don't want to spoil nothing, but just watching this confirmation, like she can't right now because she got to hold her poise. But I wanted to like make a post to like everybody is not Katanji. Don't run up. Like she's being poised, but y'all try that with us on another day, some other place. You're gonna get your feelings hurt. But that's just, I think that's probably why that came out because I'm still frustrated. I'm still frustrated watching that.
Hey, she got me on that too, baby, and we're gonna be getting to that topic pretty soon. But I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say last but not least, but our special guest, someone that I have watched and heard, and I'm really inspired by, just from she motivates me. You know, she's in a position that I used to be in years ago, but she is on the top, and she's gonna keep moving up. This is my sister from another mister. She also is a proud graduate of Winston-Salem State University. Y'all give it up for Miss Roxy.
Hey ladies, how y'all doing? And Shalia, I'm definitely gonna claim that, gonna keep going up, honey. Absolutely. Like Shalia said, my name is Roxy. I am a proud Ram alum. I am 1/3 of the morning show on 102 Jams. We are in a bit of a transition right now, so we don't have a name. But 1/3 of the show. I have the pleasure of riding with our listeners to work from work every single morning. It is truly like my honor to be able to do that. I absolutely love what I do. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. Like Destiny said, I'm a lover. Not so much of a fighter. Not so much of a fighter, but I will if I have to, definitely. And I'm very excited and happy and honored to be joining you ladies here tonight.
Well, we're happy to have you here too. And just know this is just the start. You will be called on even more. Okay, I've already got some ideas, so don't even worry about it. Oh yeah, hey, I'm telling you, that's how I roll. So womanhood. If we could just touch on what this whole subject matter is about. We had an amazing conversation a couple of days ago, just quickly running through, breaking some things down. And as I mentioned earlier, when I think about womanhood, the more I was thinking about it, I said, I don't want to just call this redefining womanhood. For me, my thought is you can just break it down with woman and hood. And that hood part for me, again, is I think when they say it takes a village, that village has a lot that goes on. You got people that are working, and it's usually the woman that's taking care of the home while the husband is working, or we in our new time and age where the woman is really the main source of income. Then we have, of course, going into that, our job and career, and the family. So I think that through this conversation, we'll be able to pull more of that out. But I'd like to start talking about a subject matter that, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us can kind of speak on. And that's, we're going to start off with motherhood. So being a mother. And those of you that are not mothers, I mean, I'm Auntie Mama. You'll still be able to chime in on a lot of this conversation, because it's also on the other side of, I'd like to bring up being a woman growing up and still now becoming not being still, let's say this. Your mother is now your child. You're now becoming the mother of your mother. So that's a piece of this conversation. And also for the mothers, we've already had this conversation. If you guys could, go into, whoever would like to go first, about what does motherhood mean to you?
I can go first if that's okay. So motherhood to me is this unrelentless, this super human power that we have when it comes down to our children. Like you're tired, but you keep going. You're sick, but you keep going. You make a way when visibly there's no way. That's motherhood for me. Making those sacrifices for your children. For an example, I decided to go into entrepreneurship so that I could also play that role of a stay-at-home mom, although that's not truly the lifestyle that I live, but I wanted to be able to be a part of the PTA and go to all of my kids' practices and games and things of that nature and be really, really active in their life. But that's extremely difficult to do when you're holding a full-time job and making sure that dinner is on the table at a decent time. And so as mothers, we do this and we do it with I feel like we do it flawlessly, even though I know that there's flaws in all of us. I still feel like the way we carry our role as a mother, we are simply amazing. So when you look up amazing in the dictionary, it should be a collage of all of our pictures there, because that's what I feel like we represent as mothers. I mean, we don't stop and we do what we need to do for our children. And me, I'm a faith-based person. So I believe that God gives me that strength on those days. I'm like, I'm about to pass out. And he says, no, here you go. And then you're able to keep going for your children. That's it.
Destiny? I mean, you guys can just. Oh, Roxy, were you on? You're on for next. I see your mic's off. You want to go next?
I can. To me, motherhood it's like purpose giving. Like it gives you so much purpose. You're inspiring another person's life, helping them define their person, their purpose, helping them define like who they will be, what they'll contribute to society. And it is relentless. Like at times it can be extremely tiring. However, it's extremely rewarding at the same time when you look at your children and you see them becoming like their own little people and developing their own personalities and their own thoughts, their own opinions. Like my son is 8 years old, and there's a song that we play on the radio that I won't let him listen to because it's not appropriate. It's not appropriate for his age. And he's just beginning to be curious about those things. Like, why is it not appropriate? What are they saying that I shouldn't be hearing? Why shouldn't I be hearing it? And it's just so rewarding to see him like coming into his own person and question things and not just, accept things because somebody said that's the way it should be. So it's like two very different sides of one coin. Like it can be so frustrating, so relentless, tiring, draining, but so rewarding, so giving, so fulfilling, like all at the same time. It's really a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Well, I'm going to chime in if that's okay. I am not a mom. And I would say that just like a lot of people, from the time you are young, you think, okay, I'm going to grow up, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have some kids. That was always the plan. I had friends in college whose purpose for college was to find husbands, which is what they did. So they got married and then they had kids. I always thought that would be my path as well, but time kept moving and no husband was coming and no kids were coming either. And then it got to a point where a few years ago, like a lot of women and Black women in particular, I was suffering from like fibroids, like terribly, like just awful. Like there was a lot of anxiety every month around my cycle. When that would happen, it would just be a panic. I had supplies in my car, my mama's car, in this desk, at this office, everywhere. Cause I would just never know when something was going to hit me. Like it was just completely disrespectful. It was starting to interrupt my quality of life and things were just getting worse and nothing was working. I had one surgery, which is the laparoscopic myomectomy. I had that surgery with the purpose of like, okay, we can get rid of these things, then in a year or so I can start trying. Because in that time I was in a relationship and then it exploded. It went to pieces. So now I'm healing from this thing and I'm all healed, but I'm not in a relationship and in a situation where I want to bring a kid. It never dawned on me that I could do it on my own. That never dawned on me. So that didn't happen. Well, a couple years down the road, these things come back and they come back with a vengeance, and it really disrupted my life, and my quality of life was gone down to the point where I made the decision to have a hysterectomy, which I thought I was okay with the fact that I wouldn't be able to carry my own kids. I thought I was really okay. But once it became finite, there was a lot of depression surrounded by that. And it surprised me because I didn't expect it, because I felt like I was okay with the fact that, okay, I don't have to have kids. I'll always wanted to adopt. So that's cool. There's plenty of kids that are already out here that need somebody. But when that happened, it was just very, very sad. And every time I saw somebody that was pregnant or I got invited to a baby shower, there was always this little twinge there. And so that took time and some therapy to work through. But then in my late 30s, I really started to have some revelations of myself and who I am as a woman. And some people's womanhood is connected to their ability to be mothers, their ability to be married and take care of a home, and that every womanhood means something different to everyone. You know, there's a spectrum of womanhood. There is no one way to define it. It is defined in infinite number of ways. And I am an educator as well. So I really mother people all the time. Most of my students are kids. Like, I'm constantly with kids. I spend a big chunk of my day with people's kids. If you are a teacher in the school system, 8 hours of your day is with somebody else's kid. Like, sometimes you're in a position where you're spending more time with them than parents are, just because of the nature of things. Summer comes around, I'm with them all day long. We are best buds. So I do get to feed that part of me that wants to nurture someone. I have students from years ago that still email me, ask me questions. I can't find a monologue. I teach theater, by the way. Can you help me find a monologue? No, you are in college. Find your own monologue. So, but I still have students who do that. So that part of me still gets to be fed. Then in addition to being a single woman, a Black woman, a woman who's had a hysterectomy, I'm also a gay woman. You know, so that was, a lot of people think that's finite. Like, no, you can still have kids, you can still adopt. But for me now at 42, infant baby situation does not necessarily appeal to me, but the door is always open and I'm willing to receive whatever the universe has to give and whoever needs the nurturing. So that's what, I guess, motherhood is to me. I'm also auntie. I shuttle my niece around everywhere all the time. So I still get it.
Thank you for sharing, Keitha. That was dope. I appreciate you for being so vulnerable. I really appreciate that. Motherhood for me is, I just think inclusivity so much when it comes to motherhood. I think motherhood is whatever we need it to be when it needs to be. At its foundation, motherhood is nurturing, consistency, but most of all is love. But not that trademarked holiday love that we see on TV. It's the love that will tell you what you don't want to hear when you need to hear it. It's that love that will sacrifice its own life in the pursuit to save you, and you both come up with bruises. It's that type of love. It's the tough love that a lot of us really don't like to deal with and come in contact with. Motherhood doesn't need a womb, a birthing room, a due date. It just needs a willing participant that's ready to show up and see it through. That's how I view it. Especially, and I don't know if this is from my HBCU background, being a graduate working in HBCUs, but when you think about just the mission and the vision of historically Black colleges and universities, at their core, other mothering, being there, being that familial piece that takes on the role when your family drops you off is what the HBCU environment is. It's how we have been able to cultivate so many Black folks and get us through the doors through matriculation to out into the world to do great things and to come back and to give more. So I see it in so many different facets. I don't see it in the traditional way. And I see it as being whatever it needs to be when it needs to be.
I like that. I like that a lot. For me, motherhood, I don't really know what I would even. I don't know that I've even defined motherhood for myself. I guess in this moment, I can say like motherhood for me is just an experience that I am going through and going along with my children. And I'm just blessed to be in in a space to be able to show them something different, right? So for me, it's about like exposing my children to a different way of thinking, a different way of just processing things. I was grateful that in my upbringing, my parents really made sure that like, I had the that I was okay with asking questions, right? That I didn't just go along with whatever I was taught, and that I didn't just fall into whatever. And so for me, I just try to make sure that my kids really understand their individuality. And that's what it's about for me. It's not about me really having control over them and me making them do anything in particular, telling them how to live their life, telling them what they should know. It's just about making sure that like I equip these people, these little children, to go out and be great people in the world when they get the opportunity. That's it.
Well, speaking of that, and I want to bring in a video. I've shown this to you, you all, but it's something I want to share and watching it. I'm sorry.
Is it
Oh, I'm
possible?
sorry.
I think Jazz wanted to speak on that.
Oh, Jasmine, were you speaking? I'm sorry.
Is there any way to say something? Can you all hear me? Yes, can you hear me? No? Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me better now? Okay.
Yes.
So I'm personally not a mother, but I would like to take out this time to give my own mother recognition because my mother is a mother and a father for me. She's always been a mother and a father for me. It's just my mom and I. I do have a great village. I do have supportive grandparents who've always been there, and my mom's brother, my uncle, has always been there for me. And my mom has always made it her mission to let me know that even though my father is not always there in my life and he may pop in and pop out when he wants to, that it's very important that I am still a strong individual, a strong young lady, a strong person growing up in this world, and that doesn't have to define me and who I am. And I think that that's something that I really admire her for, and that's something that also keeps me going. That's something that keeps me pushing because I know that there are days that she probably was going through it, you know. It's just her. It's not like she had somebody by her side for that, which is why I really take pride in making her proud. And I think that Black people imagine what it's like on some days when you feel like you can't keep going because I'm out here studying for exams till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. I feel like I can't keep going and I don't have to feed anybody. So I really think that it's important that as someone that I'm 21, I just turned 21, so I think it's important that I honor my mother, and I'm really grateful for that for her. And I think that all of you are really amazing, and your input on motherhood is great. So yeah.
Well, thank you, Jasmine. I apologize. I didn't mean to skip my Jasmine. I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. But I do want to show this clip of just showing what, and I want to say motherhood, but in this clip there is the love of a mother for her child, and but it could have been a father, but in this instance it is a mother. So I'm gonna share this clip, and then we will have a conversation about what you feel. Can you all see the video? There we go. Okay, here we go.
For real, like you're not even playing with your woman like this. What? Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that. You are so pretty. You are. Shut up. Go in the room. You, when you look at yourself, you supposed to say, "I'm so pretty." You are so pretty. Do you hear me? You got the prettiest little dimples. You are too cute. No, you gonna make me cry. You're not ugly. Baby girl. Oh my God. Ariana. You're not ugly. Baby girl. You are so pretty. You are like you have this beautiful chocolate skin. Like you are just so gorgeous. You got these dimples. Remember what I told you? How many people got two dimples? Nobody. You got two. Let me see you smile. Let me see. You got two dimples. I don't even have two dimples. Girl, let me see your teeth. Look at them pretty white teeth. No, you're not gonna cry. You are a beautiful little girl, and you are pretty. You are the prettiest girl in your class. Boom. Tell them straight up. When you go to school tomorrow, you got your hair done. You're gonna be like, "Oh, look at my hair. Oh, look at my shoes. Look at my clothes, baby girl. You are beautiful. Black is beautiful. And if nobody ever tell you, I will tell you, you are gorgeous. You are."
So, in this clip, it's very emotional. It was the first time I saw it and it popped up on Instagram. I got chills. I got chills again every time I see it. I've watched it a couple of times because it's very inspiring to see a mother stop her child and say, "Look, no. Let me take you away from that thought. I don't know who told you that. I don't know why you would even have that thought of you, but let me tell you who you are and what you are." I'd love to hear some commentary on, it doesn't even have to be mothering, because just like Lakeitha said, she's around students 24/7. I'm around students 24/7. But have you had a moment where you had to, and let me speak to the mothers for a second, where you've had to stop your child and had to have that moment where you had to tell them or help them to realize that who they are is worth more than they really truly understood? Kwamika?
I'll go if that's okay. So in my house, first of all, every time I watch that video, which I've only watched it 3 times, it makes me cry every time because somebody said that to that baby for her to even put that in the atmosphere. So that always makes me cringe. However, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. When you see, so like social media lets you in to a lot of people's personal space. And sometimes you're able to sit back and say, and you make this judgment, and you shouldn't. And typically I make it to myself and not out loud, that I start to wonder about a person's self-esteem, because I believe everything derives from it. So I tell my daughter every day, "You're pretty," like you're, because I don't want anyone to have that control to tell my children anything about themselves, right? Because I don't want to have to show up in that character, somebody telling my child that they're not pretty, they're not smart enough. So in my home, and any child that I'm able to come in contact with or that I mentor, you are smart, you are beautiful, because that's just what it is. And for me, I try to cut it off before it starts, because once your kids get into school age, they go to school, they hear different things because other kids are at home hearing different things. And I'm trying to build my children's confidence to a point where someone on the outside is not going to be able to have influence in a negative way to tell them something that they aren't. So that's kind of how I like to cut it off. I cut it off. And because I tell my daughter and my son that they're pretty and that they're handsome, they say that to other people because that's what they hear. Because children repeat, and they react what they hear and see at home. That's very, very real. So that's my tidbit. I try to cut off stuff like that because that's heartbreaking to hear that baby say that.
I think
I have. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead, Roxy.
Oh, okay. I was just about to agree with Q and just say I have also, since my son was very, very young, used affirmations. Just every night before bed. Like there's just a list of things I tell him: you're smart, you're handsome, you're intelligent, you're talented. I just tell him a number of things to affirm him and let him know that, you are all of those things. And just hearing that over the years, because my son is 8 now, and I've been doing it maybe since he was 3, every single night before bed. He believes those things about himself. Now that doesn't stop, things from being said at school when he's around his friends. I mean, you know how kids are, they're going to say stuff, they're going to talk junk, but it never resonates with him because he's been affirmed his entire life. And watching that clip is extremely heartbreaking, but I love the way the mother just affirmed her baby and let her know that, no, you're beautiful, and then pointed out the different things about her that are beautiful and unique to her. I thought that was so beautiful.
I was just gonna say, and kind of in support of what you just said, Roxy, that I feel like as parents, and not just as parents, but as nurturers of children, right? That it is very imperative that we do speak life into these kids on a daily basis, on a consistent basis, because the world is gonna tell them otherwise. And there's really not a whole lot that we can do about that. I mean, we obviously are out here trying to be effective and make effective change in the world so that people don't treat others in such a negative way, but it happens. And so I think that like what we've all kind of said, and like what you just said, Roxy, about making sure that we literally are pouring into these kids all the time so that even when somebody comes at them with something that's negative, they're able to recognize like that's not a truth. You know what I'm saying? That's not a truth to me. Like I hear you saying it, but it's not true to me. You can keep that and let it go on the other way. The whole concept of letting it roll off your back. It's not even a let it roll off your back. It's just you recognize that that's just not a truth for you. And so I think it's just really significant and important that we make sure that we consistently do that, not just with the children that we're raising, but the kids that we're coming in contact with on a daily basis.
Yeah. I ditto everything that has been said already. But for me, especially having school age kids, and coming from some really hostile environments with those school age kids, I really, 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 really feel that we have to be intentional in understanding the spaces that they're in. Because it's not racism, it's byproducts, colorism, sexism, you name it. They're elusive, they're the air. So it doesn't have to be a classmate saying you're ugly. It doesn't have to be anyone blatantly doing it. It could be like what my child experienced. It's the isolation. It's the fact that so you're maturing now and your body is developing differently than your white counterparts, and you're probably 1.5 of the Black representation in the school at the time. And so your body type is sometimes talked about or not at all. Or in a season when people are starting to like each other, no one's expressed interest in you and your locks and how you present in your Blackness. And you feel isolated and you don't know. And a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, an 8-year-old does not know how to name this. They just know I'm not on the in, I'm on the out. And as a result, something must be wrong with me. And I don't care how much we affirm them at home. If they don't get that affirmation from their group, from their peers, it's nothing. It doesn't uplift it. It doesn't reaffirm it. Because it's like, you mama, you're supposed to say I'm pretty. But my peers don't see me. And that was a huge piece for me and my girls when we were in Austin, Texas, because it was constant. It's not like I wanted them to be in relationships elementary school, but I also understood that need to want to be admired by your peers and looking like, well, what's wrong with me? Then we get into Philadelphia, it's predominantly Black space, and you're finding people that look like you and they talk like you. And it's so crazy because what, she's 11 and she's just now experiencing having relationships with other girls that's familial and friendly. And so it's us being intentional of what the spaces we put our children in. And I know sometimes we can't. We have to get out this state of mind that white is right, and isolating our babies in these suburban spaces that do more harm. And it takes for them to get to college to get the vernacular to understood what they went through and to process that. We need to find these spaces. We need to go back into our public schools and reclaim them and stand in the gap whenever we can. As a stay-at-home mom right now, I stand in the gap for all of those babies because I know as parents that's busting their butt to make sure that their babies are in the school. They can't necessarily be here, but I can. So I got your baby while you not. And we got to take on that effort to make sure. And that's where I say that this, this mothering thing is going to be what it needs to be when it needs to be. And we might have to be present for other babies that didn't necessarily come from our wombs, right?
Jasmine, did you want to speak on the video?
I think that seeing that video, that was my first time seeing that video, and it was very disheartening to see a young female think that about herself. Following up with Miss Destiny, though, I will say, like, I understand what she says about like feeling admired by your peers, because when I was in middle school and like, this stage of puberty and everything, I was definitely that kid with the glasses and the braces, and everybody was like, Jasmine got glasses and braces, like, wanting to pick. Like, I was smart, but everybody was just, it was always something that somebody had to say. And everybody always thought all my friends were cute and everything, and everybody just thought I was smart. And I was like, well, Mom, everybody just thinks I'm smart. Like, that's it. Like, I'm cute too, right? And she would be like, of course you are. Like, you're beautiful. Like, don't worry about it. She was like, usually, that's how people are now. And then once you grow up, your looks will change and your face structure will change and it'll be different. And then it's just like, she was right. It was different. Once I got to high school, the braces came off, the contacts came in. It was kind of like, oh, that's Jasmine. I'm like, respectfully, because I'm still the same person. Like, I'm still that smart. I'm still that intelligent Jasmine. But now you want me. And see, no, I don't want you. I don't want you. But it's just like, it's harder, I think, for African American females growing up in predominantly like European American areas, especially for me. Like, I did in school, I throughout kindergarten all the way up until 8th grade, and then when I got to high school, that's when I went to a predominantly Black high school. So that was very different for me, but I really enjoyed being around other individuals that looked like me and thought like me, and it was really nice to see that, which is what ended up making me get the decision to go to Winston-Salem State University, because I was accepted into Clemson University. I had an internship there and I pretty much had a full rod. But once I got to Winston, I was like, these individuals accept me for who I am. I feel like I can authentically be myself, because in other realms I didn't really quite feel that way. So it's very important that we encourage those young girls, because we have, like, as a chapter, went to one of the elementary schools in Winston-Salem, and it was one younger girl, and she was like, y'all are so pretty. Like, I want to be like pretty like y'all when I grow up. And I was like, no, like, you're beautiful yourself. Like, never say that about yourself. You're already beautiful, and don't ever think anything less. So it's really important to always pour into young females. So I really appreciate that input.
So thinking of the way in which, I mean, Jasmine, it's perfect that you said what you said, especially because, I mean, you're 21, some of us are double that now. I might be the only one that's double. Some of y'all on your own way, so don't play with it. But, a lot of that, that womanhood, right? that parenting from what you've learned from your parents or how you grew up, going through high school, learning who you are. But, all those things, but then put on top of that you're a Black woman. A lot of that can be things that we carry on our shoulders, and we become a little aggressive in the light of those that don't understand our strife or what we have to deal with on a daily basis. And I'll say they. When I say they, it can be Destiny. I'm gonna let you go first. You can help me to define they. And the reason why I say that is because, for women, when we are considered angry Black women, it's or the angry Black woman. It can be men that look at women and say, well, why are you so aggressive? Why do you have this attitude? Or it can be in the workplace. Elle, I'd like you to speak on what the example that you gave us the other day, being in the workplace and being considered to be an angry Black woman. And then Roxy, I'm pulling in, parts of our discussion. What you heard just sitting at that round table with those that you actually work with, and you're automatically labeled not even angry Black woman, but you're given a nickname. And then Kwamikia, you my girl Q. I need to say your name right. I'm just gonna say Q. With you working in politics and being, one of the few Black women who have in that space, you have to be aggressive, right? Because politics isn't smooth. So if we could start with you, Destiny. And then Jasmine, you spoke on, the subject of, being a student and dealing with going to a white school, coming to HBCU. But you can also speak on, not so heavily, but a lot of what, you had to deal with this year. I had to be right there by your side, and there was a lot that you had to deal with to really still show your personality and your patience, which really puts you in the space of, one of the best subjects that we'll speak about later. I'll just, put that on the crown of your head and say Judge Jackson. And soon one day you might be Judge Blair, because, she's on her way to law school. So again, let's start with you, Destiny.
Okay, now a lot was said, and you started off with a they. What did you want me to break down again?
Because I know you're unapologetic with everything you say.
Okay.
I'll let you take the they and throw it around the way you like, because I know you'll kick it off.
Well, I just, whenever I hear it or whenever I see it, I just think like gaslighting is this is all it is. And it's an easy way to further disenfranchise my existence, and by my very existence, my experiences in this world. I have a right to feel all of my feels. I give the privilege of not letting you feel it, but sometimes everybody may not be as privileged, and they need to feel it, and rightfully so, right? And so that's what I really think whenever it's brought up, whenever it's out there, like I've had it thrown around. My 5-year-old has had it thrown at her. Now she's 11, but when she was 5, a teacher described her as such because she was assertive and was, I've taught them since birth that your names will be corrected. Like, people are going to pronounce your names the way that they are phonetically sounding and said, and make sure that they say them correctly. And so they would correct the teacher, and she's always correcting me on her name because, well, you should get it right. If you get it right, you wouldn't be corrected. Well, she's just so snippy with it. I was like, she's probably tired of correcting you. And rightfully so. It's not that hard. Kylie is not hard. You can say all these other names with 1,800 syllables, but you can't say Kylie because of how it's spelled. And so but again, she created this space around her. She's so boisterous, and she's this, and rightfully so. And let's talk about why that's a problem for you or why that makes you uncomfortable, so much so that you have to make it her problem that she's standing up for herself. And so I think that's the biggest piece for me, is just acknowledging where it's coming from. And more so for my children, making sure that they understand that those phrases aren't rooted in who they are. It's rooted in whoever said it is not. I think Jasmine dropped off the call.
So I think I guess I can go in. When I think about this concept of angry Black woman, I honestly just feel like it's just this term that gets attached to any woman that is Black, that has a voice, that has boundaries, and make sure that you abide by them, that you stay like you're supposed to. I feel like anytime you speak against the status quo, or you speak against somebody who does not look like you, it feels like a challenge. It feels like a threat to them. And I feel like it's not so much that we are angry, we are just oftentimes tired. And to your point, Destiny, with your daughter, she was tired of having to correct this woman about her name. You ain't messing up everybody else's name every day. Take the time to get mine right. And oftentimes in spaces, especially work environments, especially when we are one of the few people of color in that space, we don't feel like we have the ability to authentically be ourselves. And at one point, my personal experience was that I was told that I was too much my authentic self in a space where I was the only Black person. And for me, I'm like, I am so far from my authentic self when I am in this space, because it doesn't seem like it would be welcomed. And by the statement being made that I'm too authentic, I am too much my authentic self, that right there said again that the little bit that I was giving was too much. And so I feel like oftentimes we get labeled as being angry Black women simply for just speaking up for ourselves, and for not letting somebody else speak over us, for not allowing somebody to do a wrong to us, for wanting to speak about something that we've encountered or experienced with other people and wanting to just shed light on it. Like, we oftentimes get labeled as being angry for simply just having a voice. And I think that that's just what it is. And personally, it's just tiring. It's a draining thing that needs to really come to an end.
I wanted to jump in and comment on that, because I'll have to apologize to y'all. I'm like, I love your conversation and I hated to go. I have accidentally double booked myself, and I had to go downstairs and talk to the kids and Babe and remind them that backstage it's a curtain and not a wall. I can hear you. Like, all that talking that's happening back there, stop that. I can hear it. So they're gonna run it again. So I have to go down and watch the second run. But I wanted to just comment on a few things. One thing that I have learned now, because there is definitely a change that does occur when you hit the 40 mark. You really start to switch things up a little bit. Around 37, 38 is when I noticed, or even allowed myself to acknowledge the fact that I do have an attraction to women. I was like, oh God, what is this? Oh, it was rough. It was rough, and it was scary, and it was contradictory to the way that I was brought up. So many things started to happen. I'm sitting in space, sitting in church, sometimes feeling like I don't understand my self in this space anymore. The place where I'm supposed to feel loved, I'm not feeling loved. The people I'm supposed to be feeling loved by, I'm not feeling loved. I feel hidden. I feel like when I come into your house, part of me gets left on the porch and waits for me to come back out. And then I can be my whole self in a space. Like, I can be my whole self in this space with you all and feel okay. But when I'm with some of the people that I love most in the world, parts of me have to stay outside. And a friend of mine put it to me like this. She was like, because of your experience as an artist and the path that you've chosen, you've grown in a way that has caused you to outgrow the people you loved most in the world, and you don't fit in anymore. And it is a very uncomfortable space to be in initially. But what I had to do for me was to acknowledge the fact that I got this life on this side of the earth right now. This experience that I am living right now is mine. And I have to make the decision of what kind of experience I want to live. Do I want to live in turmoil? And do I want to be frustrated all the time? What do I want? So once I really started to embracing me, people do feel like you're a little bit angry, but I read a book called The Four Agreements. And one thing that book taught me was that I don't take anything personally. You feel like I'm angry, that's okay. That's really got nothing to do with me. I know whether or not I'm angry or not. Like if you're feeling like I'm being some type of way, that's on you. And I will not pick it up and I will not carry it. I'm not responsible for anybody else's happiness. That's another thing. A lot of things for myself I would suppress because how my mom felt about something was extremely important to me. And whether she was happy or unhappy or not was extremely important. I never wanted to step out of line for that. Well, now I know her happiness is not my responsibility. Do I want my mom happy? I absolutely do, but it is not my responsibility. Just like my happiness is not her responsibility. It's mine. If I'm unhappy, I have to fix that. If she's unhappy, she has to fix that. If I make choices that make her unhappy, okay, that ain't on me. That ain't on me. And then to know if you are angry, that is okay too. That is a valid emotion. And you have a right to your anger. You have a right to place it where it needs to be placed. You know, you have a right to it. But then you also have a right to your peace as well. And I think Ellie said it initially is I can't control other people. I can only control how I react to them in a moment. You can decide who you give your energy and how much of it you are giving to them. You know, you can make that decision. And once I decided to take the path of least resistance, I live a very, very peaceful life now. It's not, and Shalee is my best friend and we've known each other since we were in college and she can attest to it. I just feel like I'm in such a lighter space. Like my shoulders feel lighter. Like, okay, I'm gay. I would love my mom and all my family to be accepting and participate, but it is no longer a requirement for me to be happy. It's okay if you don't. I'll still be happy. You know, you can feel like I'm angry. That's okay. But I don't ever apologize for any way that I'm feeling at any time, especially if it's authentic and it's coming from a genuine place. I don't apologize for it. So if any advice I can give to a person is to embrace you at any given moment and who you are, and your feelings are valid. Your voice is important. And if you need to say what needs to be said, say what needs to be said and let the chips fall where they may. You know, Spirit always knows Spirit will give you the words to say when you need to say them. If you get in tune with yourself and with Spirit. That's all I got to say for that. Y'all are wonderful. I love y'all. I wish I knew y'all better. We should have coffee. We should have lunch and we should all be friends. And I mean that. Shalee will tell you. So I'm going to get off of here. Thank you so much, Shalee, for letting me be a part of this. And I'm so sorry that I'm in two different places, but I'm going to run down and watch this second run. But keep talking. I can't wait to watch the recording so I can hear all y'all got to say. All right. Bye.
Good luck with your rehearsal and your show. And yeah, we'll definitely have to pull it together, get together. Well, we always do. So, and I know Elle's going to be pulling back her Sunday events where women come together and do their circle thing. So, it's in the works. It's in the works. So have a great rehearsal and hopefully I'll try to make it to the show.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. All right. So Kwamikia Q. Oh, wait a minute. I dropped her out. Hold up. Home button. There you go.
Can you hear me? Can y'all hear me? Okay. So, apparently I've always lived this pretty wild life. So it's always for me been say what I'm going to say, curse them out, and I'm going to move on about my life. Why? Because people gonna talk about you, whether you're a great person, whatever they feel about you, they're gonna talk about you. So guess what? If I have something to say to you, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna get it off my chest, right? You're not gonna let me be walking around holding all this on my chest, and then I have a myocardial infarction. You're not gonna do that to me. There's a heart attack, by the way. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna let you hear what I gotta say. You're gonna like it or you're not gonna like it. And that's another thing I love about my friends. If I post something and it's just transparent and it's real, they never calling me like, girl, you need to take that down. They're like, yo, that's who she is. And that's one thing that I love about working in politics is that I don't have to front for nobody. Like people are like, yo, you work in politics, you can't do this, you can't do that. I work for me, boo. I work for me. So when you work for you, you're your own brand. And if you're authentic in your brand, when somebody says something about your character, people are like, yeah, Q did that, but you do know her, right? You do know she's gonna check you right if she need to. You do know things can get wild if you mess with her children, right? Oh, okay. So you think you're telling us something? So that's like that's where I've lived my life. But as I'm approaching 40, now I'm like, not necessarily curse those people out if you have to. Now I'm like, I'm gonna flip all this stuff over here and then I'm gonna leave because I'm never dealing with you people again. I'm never dealing with you again, so it is not gonna matter. And so I'm in this phase, this really weird phase in my life where I'm seeing myself separating from a lot of things. Anything that causes me too much anxiety, anything that make me feel too many negative vibes, I'm gone. I become a ghost. I'm gone. So I think that's with me approaching 40 and just being over it, being over people's stuff and just feeling like, you know what, in certain spaces you just won't find me. And if you no longer find me, they'll just, recognize that something wasn't right. And that's okay. You don't got to change yourself because I remove myself. You do what you want to do. So, that's me. So that angry Black woman statement, that don't move me. I'm going to start talking about your mother when you call me an angry Black woman. I'm going to start talking about your father, your cousins, your siblings. I don't care nothing about that. That phrase is put in place to shut us down, to make us think about what we just said and how we just expressed ourselves. No, I'm going to start talking about your mom. So be careful with me. But I'm turning 40, so I'm easing out. Like I'm easing out. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm ringing out the door, but I might flip you off when I go out the door, but I'm a salsa out the door. That's just kind of where I am in my life. Yeah. So, it doesn't work with me. Good luck though.
I love it, Q. I love
it. Let me tell you, if you could have her, I swear, if she could have her own show, I'm telling you, anytime I'm on the phone, I'll say for all of y'all, but anytime I'm on the phone with Q, that girl, we can be in some situations where we talking and we go, but she always has these little kick words or these kick phrases that just be taking me out every time. But I wonder, there's something that you said, Q, and it was just in my mind. You said, what did you just say? Why is it happening? Why is my brain? Oh my God, what did you say? I shouldn't have been laughing so hard. I would have had it. You said it was about being angry.
And then I'm transitioning into that, just so removing myself.
That 40, let me tell you, I'm not gonna say it, but it's 40 and it. And so as you ease into the 40, I promise you, the more that for you to be where you're at, it's about to be terrible for these people on the streets. Because when you get, as a woman, I've talked to men about 40, and just being honest, they don't mature as quickly as we do. And I've said it. Yes, I said it. But when we hit 40, there's something that clicks. Because for those of you that don't know, on, out there in Facebook and YouTube land, I just turned 45 this year. Okay, let's clap it up for the girl. She don't look like it. Come on. Okay, thank you. But when I hit 40, and we speaking about the angry Black woman, I've never been. Thank you. I've never really been an angry person. I can say something and then I walk away. And Q, from when we was on a dance scene, if it's something that we need to handle and we need to get it together because we got a show coming up, I'm going to say what I have to say, and then I become the little soft little puppy, like, oh, okay, y'all. Now, when I hit 40, something clicked. And it's like, I don't think I can control it. And it's more of my facials. I can't, even if I'm on a Zoom call, I was on a call earlier. I've been on a couple today. I had to take myself off the Zoom because in a professional space, I don't want them to see that. And this is edging me into that Judge Jackson, because y'all know, and Destiny, whew, we almost, you almost started touching on that with, we're just gonna call it the Jacksonism, because to be able to hold your face, that's a skill. And she's what, 51 now, so she's mastered it. I'm still trying to get there, because when I hit 40, that angry look on my face, I think it scares people, and I don't mean to. I don't mean to make someone afraid, but I think we are just very expressive. And if you can't read it as being me not being angry, but me being sometimes just kind of animated. Maybe I'm just being animated one day. Maybe my eyebrow just goes up for a second. Roxy, I see you. You know how to make some faces. I know you. So it's yes, it's about being passionate. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Destiny. And it shouldn't get mixed up with just how we express ourselves. So I know Jasmine wanted to speak, and then whoever would be next after.
So speaking on an angry Black woman, yes, this semester, last semester, honestly, not even just this semester or last semester, it's really been, a year within like my position. Like currently right now I'm in a position at school where we had a very hard, we had a hard time getting started with a particular situation that we had going on. And I was in a position where I couldn't really say too much, but I also didn't want to say anything at all. And when I did say something, it was like, well, Jasmine, why are you saying it like that? Why are you coming across in that way? Like, why is your tone being so adamant? Why are you being so strong-willed with everything that you say? And I think that as I have matriculated throughout college so far, when it was my freshman year, I was really, hi, hello, my name is Jasmine. And then as I've gone throughout school, I've understood that it's okay for my voice to be heard, because like one of you all were saying, like no matter what, someone's always going to have something to say, whether it's positive or whether it's negative. And the best thing that I can do is be true to myself and be true to who I am personally. So I have been speaking my mind ever since, and I am glad that I have been speaking my mind, because it has been very liberating, and I can go to bed at night knowing that I have been able to do so. And I appreciate Miss Shalee for really helping me, because there'll be times where I'll go in her office and I'll be like, Miss Shalee, everybody's like, Jasmine, why are you doing this? Or why are you saying it like that? Like, that's usually not you. And Miss Shalee be like, Jasmine, is okay. You are fine. It's going to be good. You don't worry about these people, because at the end of the day, like, that's just how certain individuals are. Everyone's not going to like how bold you are. And I really do think that when it comes to the angry Black woman, that just equates to saying intimidation. You are intimidated by the power that I radiate. You are intimidated by the words that I pronunciate. You are intimidated by how I articulate my words. It's nothing wrong with me being a dark-skinned female that can use my words. That has been something that I've dealt with all my life, ever since I was like in kindergarten. I would have people of my own race saying, Jasmine, you sound like a white girl, because I use my words, because I can speak freely. And for a while, I was really caught up in that. And I'm like, why would people say that? And I would just really be down in the dumps about it. And I really hid my own voice, to the point to where I didn't realize how strong it was. And I came to Winston initially, and I majored in nursing, because I was like, okay, like I want to help people. I want to do everything that I can in my power to be that helping hand. And I realized that that really was not the path for me. Even though I was doing well in nursing, I was excelling. I was like, this is not my path. And I even had a professor tell me, like, you will not be a nurse, because you are so outspoken, to the point to where you know, you have to tone it down. Like, you have to be censored. And I was like, no, like, I do not have to be censored in what I say. Like, of course, you know, in certain settings, there are times where you would have to code switch, you could say. But no, like, I am me. So that's when my sophomore year, I decided to change my major to psychology with a minor in political science. And I'm also faith-based, so I was praying about it, and I realized that being an attorney is for me. Like, I have a voice that can help others when their voices have been silenced, and I can use my words in a courtroom to help someone else, regardless of that situation. So when someone's like, "Oh, Jasmine, like you're being snippy, you have an attitude," I apologize that you feel that way, because I'm still going to say what I have to say. I will be respectful about it. I definitely believe in respecting my elders, especially that's how I was raised. But I'm going to say what I have to say. And if you're going to call me angry black woman, then so be it. I will be that angry black woman, but I will be a heard angry black woman if that's the case. So, yeah.
I know that's right. I'll be heard. I may be angry, but you heard me though.
I said what I said in my picture. It's right there. Totally understand.
All right, so I'm gonna move on to wrapping up with our last piece of this evening. As we've seen and as we know, our girl, our woman, our queen right now. I mean, I love it when they emerge like from out the phoenix, out of the ashes. Judge Brown Jackson has definitely showed up in some ways that when I saw all the nominees, I didn't know who they were. I kind of looked into them, just kind of read up, but I can read whatever I read about people. But if I don't know them, I don't know them. I mean, how would I ever meet you? This last 3 days, we have seen and heard more than we could even try to look up, research, or even imagine as to the way in which we're able to watch a black woman just hold herself up when like going back to talking to when we're talking about children, my nephew Cody, whenever he drops his head, I say, pick your crown up. Don't drop your head, because your crown's going to fall off your head. You always got to hold your head up. And that's what I constantly saw with her. I probably saw her kind of adjust herself in the seat, but you didn't see her do leaning back or rolling her eyes, even though by day 3, that brow started to go up just a little bit. We as black women, we were able to read. I was able to read, right? When Cory Booker came in, I mean, he gave the words that were needed and I say that was that support that was needed as far as words, as far as you're not the only one in this room that has been there. So seeing that, for me, it made everybody else in that room just disappear. It was like they were a non-factor, right? So there was a lot that I was able to pull and pick up from that. But before we do that, I'm gonna show one more clip, and then we're gonna go into our conversation about not only Judge Jackson, but also about what it means to be a woman in a space where everyone doesn't look like us and they don't accept us, and they pretty much put us up on that auction block and just start tearing us down. So here was a clip. I think her name is Dr. Yaba, where she was on just a clip of her being on a talk show. Pull this from, again, Instagram, because that's where you find what you find. And I'd like to share this clip, and then we'll move into our last piece of our discussion for the evening.
I'm moved by white tears. Most of us are moved by white tears because we don't actually think they're real. It's a performance. It's a switch that you turn on because you know that we have been socialized to see you as more human and of more value. So whatever it is you think and whatever it is you feel, we are supposed to respond to it. Y'all don't respond to Black women crying the same way. Nobody does. Nobody does. The minute a white woman cries, the world has to stop. Oh my God, what's wrong with you, baby? Black women cry, we could be rolling around on the ground screaming. And you are moved because you've been socialized not to see us as human beings. Fuck. Our tears don't matter to you, but a white woman, and y'all know that shit. That's why I'm not here for the fragility. You know that. And so you very deliberately turn the shit on as a way to avoid accountability.
Yep.
Purposefully. That's not fragility. That's manipulation. That's strategic. That's diabolical. That's not fragility. And so this notion of white fragility is supposed to tell us what? We're supposed to let you off the hook because you can't handle it? No, you don't want to. And every time we hold your feet to the fire, all of a sudden, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. You didn't have to know. And now that I'm trying to make you know, you want to cry so we can end the conversation. This is how you run away. So how do I hold you accountable if you're all up in your feelings? How come I don't get to be in my feelings? I'm sitting here telling you about generations of your people, your ancestors killing mine. How come I don't get to turn tears on and move you? Sounds like I should be the one crying, no? Sounds like those tears should be mine. Sounds like the fragility might be mine, but no, I gotta be strong. Look at me. I got to sit here and this is the thing that really pisses me off. In your tears, you now expect me to hold your hand and rub your back and make you feel better because you're crying. Again, you're centered. Your experiences are more important than mine. That shit is diabolical. I'm not here for it.
So in that, woo, I've already looked her up. I don't know what's going to be going on for next Women's History Month, but Dr. Yaba, I need to do some more research and checking out what she's all about. But she was just bringing all the realness. And so the white tears. I mean, you know, I feel like this is a safe space where we can talk about what it means for us as women to be in a space where number one thing that's been a heavy topic is, you know, when women, for those of you that are mothers that actually had babies that came from your bodies, to be in that operating room and not know, I don't know if at that time you paid too much attention to it until now where the researchers came out to say that, you know, women are going through so much pain in that space, and it's seen as women that are Black should be able to take all this pain and be okay with that. But to be in that room crying or saying that they're in pain or they're feeling something that isn't right or with their body, and it being passed on. But if you flip that around and there is a white woman in that operating room and she's crying about pain, how that reaction from those in the room that should be taking care of that mother is going to be different. Examples of, you know, Black women, Black mothers crying over their sons, or, you know, even their daughters being shot and killed, or locked up or put away for things that they did not do. So there are those times where our Black women tears are pushed out so people can hear and see and feel us. But it's what do they say? It's put on deaf ears. So that clip to me really brought it all to the front. And then we watch how Judge Brown Jackson, and I'm only saying that because you know how I am with names, and I do not want to disrespect the first name. Ketanji, I got it right. I did it. Okay. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, say her name. She had to hold that back because in moments where she was frustrated, we know when we get upset, we're not crying because we're crying because we're sad. We're crying because we know that the next thing that comes out of our mouth or the next move that comes from our body is probably going to cut you deep. And she showed us as Black women, which we practice this every day, but she showed us as Black women that it's okay to let someone go ahead and cut me off. I'm gonna sit here and be quiet, and I'm gonna let you be ignorant in your words, and that it's okay to not try to have the first or the last word, because justice will have the first and the last word. Now that the word on the street is, they're not talking negative about her. They're talking negative about those that were coming at her. So she allowed them to have that space to say what they wanted to say in the way that they wanted to say it, the way that they wanted to show it on charts, or the way that they, again, was cutting her off in the middle of her explanation. And so, of course, I got to do this. Destiny, I got to start with you. I see your eyes. I see you went there. And I'm gonna allow you to bring in.
Wait, let everybody else go first. I'm still processing.
I saw it. I don't know. I didn't know. Roxy, let's hear from you.
You got to unmute, Roxy.
You're still on mute.
I want to hear some other thoughts. I'm not sure I understand the question, or what are you asking?
Well, I was touching on from looking at that clip. Yaba speaking on white tears versus white women with white tears, and then Black women with our tears, and how it's seen differently. So that's why I was speaking of in the operating room, or within giving birth, or again, mothers that are now dealing with, we see the Black women on TV crying from losing their child, or now we have an example of a Black woman who could have easily shedded tears in a moment of frustration, but she actually held herself back. So it's really just about what did that clip mean to you, and what does this whole thing with, I'm just gonna say, the white woman tears versus Black women tears.
Jazz, go. Jazz says she'll go. Let me
Okay.
go on some more.
Yeah, I'll go. So, like, you also want us to speak on Ketanji Brown Jackson within this as well, right? Okay. So, I've been watching, and when Senator Cory Booker was talking to her, that I think that was a very a powerful moment, because she was going through a lot in that confirmation hearing, where you had individuals coming at her character, discrediting everything that she knows, and basically just telling her that she's she's not qualified for this position. And the fact that she was able to have a sigh of relief, of tears, when he said, let's just take a moment, let's just breathe here and honor the fact that we have never had this moment before. There is no way that anyone in this room can deny this woman's Blackness, from the crown of her head all the way to the brown chocolateness of her skin. There's no way that you can deny that. And she's sitting in this room, and she has more experience than some individuals that are even on the Supreme court now. Like, she has been prepared for this moment before she even knew that this was her moment. And I think that is phenomenal. Like you were saying, Miss Shirley, you were saying that she let everyone else speak. The ignorance of others spoke for her through her silence, but her silence was also heard, because she, like you said, she didn't have to go. She didn't have to go first. She didn't have to go last. She let individuals say what they had to say. Like, for instance, there were so many moments where we've had in other confirmation hearings where there have been other judges or nominees who have blown up at senators for saying things that have been hurtful, that have come at their character, that have come at their judgment within a courtroom. And she didn't do that. She held her poise, but the moment that she decided to have tears was a moment of relief. And I think that there is beauty within that. Just the fact that Senator Ted Cruz, for instance, wanted to talk about critical race theory But it was the way that he brought up critical race theory, because does he even really know what critical race theory means? He brought up a children's book that is read in a private school with ages 4 through 7, saying that babies are taught racism and they are taught hatred, and that once these babies grow up, they should be held accountable for that racism. And asking her, well, do you believe in this? Do you think that children are taught racism? Do you think that babies should be held accountable? And she was very respectful with it, but she said, with all due respect, I have not looked at this. This has absolutely nothing to do with my qualifications as a judge. This is private learning. You cannot go based off of private learning, for one, because private schools have their own curriculum outside of a public school system in the first place. Like, they go based off of their own beliefs. So it was just like that alone. If someone is sitting there, someone really has no offense to anyone, but common sense. It's like, what does this have to do with my abilities? And I feel like, I don't know, because she's better than me. I don't know what I would have said sitting right there, because he had like literally whole pictures of a book that you're bringing to me that has absolutely nothing to do with my qualifications, or the fact that you had senators asking her, what does it mean to be a woman? What do you mean? And you're a woman asking me these questions. What does it mean to be a woman? What does being a woman mean to you? Because she's literally sitting here as a judge, but we're sexualizing her. We're sexualizing her. Why? What is your reason? And it just shows a lot of strength that she was able to sit there through all of that and really listen to everything that they said, regardless of what it was. And that's why I personally can relate to the fact of these tears, these white tears. Like, I can't relate either. I don't think there's really anyone that can relate, because it's just kind of like, those tears that you're crying are coming from a place of what? Honestly, where are these tears coming from, when you literally have a woman who has been more qualified than everyone else in that room, has not 1 degree from Harvard, but at least 2. And really, you're asking me about a children's book? A children's book. So it's just like, I don't know. That alone shows a lot of ignorance. I could really talk all day about this, because I'm really passionate about this one, because I've been watching it, but I'm gonna let the other ladies speak on this. But it's really disheartening to see how people have treated her. But I also am happy that these true colors have been shown, because it allows individuals that are in my generation, who are now able to vote, that are now able to have our voices heard, get out there and take some of these individuals that are senators out of office, and put in more people who represent individuals that look like me, and have more of a diverse voice than something that is just stale and one-sided. So, yeah.
Well, I want to talk to y'all about white women tears, okay? Because my sorority sister did a really good job covering, what has been happening with being a candidate of the Supreme Court. So they actually have a playbook, right? You watch it play out on national news, white women tears, but when it happens to you, you get a front seat. And it happened to me on Monday night. And I couldn't believe it. I think it's day 3, and I'm still in some level of shock. And I'm watching her start to cry and tell why she's crying and why she's having a bad day. And I stood there, and I stood silently, because I was just in shock that it happens just like we see it play out when we see it on social media, when it's happened somewhere else. But when it happened to me, I can honestly tell you guys, and the tears started after law enforcement told her she was wrong. After law enforcement told her that what she did in totality was wrong. And then all of a sudden, the tears came like she could have been holding an onion in her hand because they came like clockwork. It's like they got a manual, okay? I mean, everything happened. You think somebody's done something, you use your privilege and your entitlement, you call the police tell you you're wrong, then you start crying because now you're the victim. Now you're the victim. So I really do applaud any woman, any individual of color actually, that can sit in spaces where you're being questioned, where you're being handled just because of the color of your skin, or because somebody feels like you're less qualified because of the color of your skin. I applaud those individuals who are able to remain, poised, because that's not me. I'm going to cuss you out. But I applaud the ones who are able to stay poised in those moments, because it's hard. It's hard. It's hard for people who victimize you but then play the victim, who lorate you because entitlement has told them for so long that they can. White tears, they have a manual to it. It's a whole infrastructure, and they do it step by step. And it's shocking. See, a lot of people don't notice, like when you die, like people say, oh, they died from a heart attack, but really, actually, medically, the person died from shock, right? Okay, so I'm EMT, so I can tell you this. They actually died from shock, but the heart attack caused the shock, right? 3 days later, I know that I'm still in shock. Some of the symptoms of being in shock is that your body temperature is off, that you're clammy, right? Level of consciousness, all of those things I'm still experiencing 3 days post after experiencing what comes along with white women tears and them being victimizers, but turning themselves into victims. It's amazing. And I don't say that in a positive way. I say that, very sarcastically. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it's different when you watch somebody on your social media go through it versus when you go through it. And you wonder, like, when does it stop? They were even questioning Judge Jackson about her LSAT scores. She passed. Next, what were her grades? Guess what? She passed, right? And so it's just like, why? So that incident that happened to me on Monday, it just brought me back to this centralized question. Why do you keep treating us like this? No matter how hard we work, you still gonna try to find a way to dog us. You still gonna try to find a way to handle us. Why? Minding your own business doesn't get you a pass. Because I was minding my own business on Monday night. It didn't get me a pass. It got the police called on me, right? And so, these white women tears, man, we got to be careful, man, because they got a whole manual and the infrastructure on it, and it works for them. And sometimes, a lot of times out in society, it works for them and against us. So that's my tidbit on it.
So like I spoke on when we had our pre-conversation about this, it is a completely different thing. I mean, it's enraging enough when you see the white women shed their tears on social media. Like you said, Q, when you see it on social media, it is one thing, and it is one of those things that'll just kind of piss you off. But when you do encounter these things personally, right? When you do have to deal with an attack by a white woman who has brought you to tears. And again, like somebody said earlier, the tears that we shed aren't always because our feelings are hurt, right? We are crying. I think it was usually we are crying because we know what's coming next. And we are trying very hard to hold back and to restrain from whooping ass, basically. You know what I mean? Like, that is what it is. And so I actually had a white woman say to me when she had attacked me verbally for 40 minutes, and then maybe 20 minutes through that, I had tears because, again, I was enraged. And I was told, just breathe through it. Literally, breathe through it. It's okay. But yet we don't tell white women to just breathe through their tears, right? A white woman can get upset about absolutely nothing, and her tears instantly warrant a whole group of people coming to her aid, right? A whole group of people coming to her aid. This woman was able to physically, verbally attack me, to verbally attack many other people. But all it took for her was to flip on those tears, right? And all of a sudden now she can claim, well, I was going through something, right? I was having a mental break. I was having a mental break. But what about the mental effects that you are causing on all the other people? Right? Like when you talk about it, Q, you talk about being 3 days out and like what you're still feeling 3 days out. I'm a year and some months out, and I'm still feeling it like it happened yesterday. But we don't talk about that, right? They don't talk about that, the fact that that literally is trauma for us. We talk about the fact that trauma is one of those things that is ingrained in us, right? We receive, like we still are dealing with the trauma from our ancestors, right? Like we're still dealing with that. But then when we have to encounter it in our own personal lives, like it's just compounded at that point. And it's like, at what point is this country going to acknowledge Black women's tears? Like the lady said in the video, our tears are, oh, no, you got to be strong. You got to be strong. Why is it that our tears are not viewed the same way? Like, why are our tears not viewed as a way of us having to release something? Because obviously there's too much building up in us. My grandfather used to tell me that it's okay to cry, right? Because oftentimes too, like as women, we feel like, no, like, and as Black women, we feel like you got to be strong. It's not okay to cry. Crying is a sign of weakness, right? But my grandfather said, no, like tears are like the release. They're like, it's like a heart valve, right? When you look at, for example, the air conditioning, you have a valve on the air conditioning. When you get too much pressure in there, right, it can explode. So instead of exploding, it has to open up this little valve and release some air, right? It has to release some pressure out. Well, when we cry, that is literally our hearts just releasing some of that pressure that we have just been adding and filling ourselves up with. But we don't get viewed as it. It's not viewed that way for us. It's never viewed that way for us. We see these videos. I remember the video about, I'm sure y'all saw it, the video that went viral of the woman in Victoria's Secret, right? The woman that literally melted down and threw herself on the ground and cried. She had a temper tantrum because she was an attacker. Because she was an attacker. The way that they can take it and they just manipulate it in such a way, it is literally how this country has been set up. It has been set up. These women have been put on a pedestal over and over and over again. And at some point, we got to come in and knock that. We got to knock it down. Like, it's just got to be destroyed. I don't know how that happens. I don't know how it takes place. I don't know what the next steps are. But I think acknowledging that this is even an issue is one of the first things that has to happen. And so I appreciate us having this platform to be able to discuss this.
Okay, I'm ready now. So it's a lot to process, and you can't process it in one night on one call. It is way too much. I think the biggest piece, when I was watching, and mind you, we're watching a judge. This is her profession. Her profession is the poker face of all faces, right? So the composure is going to be there, the calmness, the stillness, because this is a critical thinker, unlike someone that most of us have never seen, because we're not, if you come from the public school system, you're not taught to think critically. Like, you're not taught to sit in this space and to, as the information comes, process it, shred it, compartmentalize it, and then put it back together again to make something anew. You're not taught to dream and imagine something different. And so you're watching this woman do this while she's being berated, while her character is being attacked, while her resume is being shredded, and it's all by white men and white women, and white assuming, because all skin folk and kinfolk, who have an agenda, and the number one agenda is, I do not want to relinquish power. That seat is a position of power, and it's been strategic and pivotal that power has not been given to a Black woman. I really, and this is not because I identify, I just know our freedom and who we are it's going to come through Black women. It's the shackles being released, things changing. It's all going to come through the vessels of Black women. There is no one else that can take this on. I really, really feel that deep down in my bones. And again, the same thing that I said, even when saying that in that moment, but when I was looking at her while she's taking it in, and I kept watching her hands, and I noticed they didn't clench, they didn't turn into a fist, they were relaxed. And I'm sitting there, I'm just like, at what cost? At what cost? Yes, I'm watching history be made. Yes, she's about to take this role, but at what cost? To sit here and the intentional act to ask you a question, you be given the floor to ask your question, and the minute you respond to answer the question, you cut the person off because you don't want to hear their response. You did this. It was times when folks would literally just turn away and start talking to somebody else while she was responding. The total disrespect to let you know, I want to keep you in your place. If anyone did not understand how America ran and functioned, if you didn't get it in these past couple of days, and you're still not because you don't want to see the truth of what is, because to acknowledge the truth would be to acknowledge who you truly are. And that's how you stay in the cycle. That's how you continue to perpetuate the hurt. If you don't own it, it's not yours to own. This book is blurred out because of a little background thing. This book does nothing but give the bare minimum of foundational purposes. And honestly, Ibram Kendi, he's the one that's going to talk to white people. He'll hit you with the fragility and all of that stuff. Ain't nothing fragile about whiteness. Whiteness pillages communities. It rapes. It kills. Whiteness is not fragile at all. But here's a brother who will take the time to speak to your fragility, to sit with you and try to write things so that you understand it. And that's all that this does. It's not talking about throwing away racist babies. It's talking about babies understanding that from day one, racism is not born, it's bred, it's taught. So how do you unteach it? But to see a white man hold up the book, it was like, for me, in my mind, it's like a last stand. You're not about to get this from me. I'm not letting this go. I'm fighting for this to the bitter end. And I'm just sitting up here like they are really fighting for this. They know what it is. They're not going to call it out, but they don't want to lose it. And I felt, I don't want to say proud because he should have. And I'm so happy that a Black man took up space for a Black woman on a national platform, because Malcolm did not lie when he said that we are the least protected, right? And for Corey to take up space for her, to give her pause to breathe, to remember whose shoulders she's standing on, and that this moment was truly indeed a moment after going through all of that, it was needed to come by way of a Black man, right? She couldn't have leashed out like Kavanaugh did a couple years ago, because it would have been, look at what she's doing, and you could have never wrote it off. And very well so. And the crazy part is, I don't care how many times we replay the videos, how many times people try to dissect these hearings, the documentary that's going to come 20 years from now, like we saw Anita Hill at the confirmation hearing and how all of her stuff came down the line. Sadly, the way that this system and the structure is set up to be is going to continue to perpetuate itself, and it has put things in crooks that are in places that will never stop working and will continue until we find that escape route and we stick to it. And I honestly, to this point, I don't know what it is, because I honestly feel like it's like they're pushing us to like get into the space like brute force. Like I need to physically attack you or go at you, or because it's going to be a fight to the death, because you're fighting for power. They're fighting for power. We're fighting for equity. But for equity to be in the space, someone has to relinquish the power, and they're not willing to let it go. So with all of that being said, tears are tears. Tears are just tears. They're tears. It's not white tears or black tears. But in this system, that's what they've become. That we've constructed tears. Tears are now have a social construct of white and black and lesbian and gay and Asian and whatever. It can't just be tears. It can't just be a release. You called me earlier and I was crying today, and I had to let you know they were happy tears. Like, when you know better, you're supposed to do better. And I'm just tired. I'm tired, y'all. I'm tired. I don't know what else to say.
Rocky, do you have any last words on that subject? I know you was able to bring in a lot.
Huh?
I said, I know you were able to bring in a lot from that.
Yeah. Like I know I'm, supposed to be a part of the conversation, but I've just really been taking in this part because I feel like in my own life, I'm going through a situation much like Judge Jackson Brown, not, putting myself quite on the level of what she went through, but I am going through a situation personally where like my qualifications and my ability to do a job are really in question when they should not be. When I've proven I can do the job, I've done the job, I'm more than qualified to do the job, yet for whatever reason, it's like they don't want to give me the job. And so seeing what Judge Jackson Brown went through just with the questioning and the badgering, and it's been very personal. It's been very personal watching that. And it was very refreshing for me to see Senator Booker stand up for her the way that he did and appreciate her the way that he did. In my instance, I don't have a Black man that's there to do that for me. Like the Black man that should be in my corner is like fighting against me. He's not willing to take the stand that he should. And so I've just really been taking in what everybody said and kind of using it to encourage myself, even through this call, to, girl, keep going. Keep going. You're qualified. You can do the job. Keep going. Apply pressure until they can't deny the fact that you're qualified and you can do the job. And that's what I'm going to do. So I really appreciate just everything y'all have said, especially on this topic, and the input you've given. It's really been, good for me personally.
I couldn't have said it any better. I'm really taking a lot in. We're wrapping up now. But like I say every time, I always want to bring it back. I want to be able to bring these circle of people back around for more discussions. Even if we don't do it during the school year, I am looking at trying to do some stuff during the summer, because these circles, these conversations, I say this all the time. Elle and Destiny definitely know, because I say this a lot. I leave from these conversations better. From our meeting the other day, even I've learned to watch my words. I simply, and I'll say simply, and it wasn't simple, I said that I have, I got all my smart friends on this call, or I have, I don't know as much as you all know. And just those simple words, I think I'm very intelligent. I know that I'm very intelligent. I know that I got a lot of talent. I'm very creative. I know those things, but out of my mouth, I said, I said two things that two of my friends stopped me and said, Destiny and Elle. Destiny said, whoa, whoa. And I didn't even know. I was like, what is what's going on? And she stopped me and said, don't ever say that about yourself again. And I was like, ooh, because I actually, y'all, I went back and watched that because I had to watch myself say what I was saying to tell myself, don't ever do that again. So when Destiny stopped me, we got to realize when someone stops us to tell us how we need to do better, or if we hear what we need to do. I heard Kwamika say it earlier. If you know better, do better. And Destiny, you said it too. Then we got to. If we know when Elle looked at me and then I think I turned about 18 years old. I mean, I felt myself just shrink down for a second and say, whoa, let me go back to where I originally found myself saying that. And it was back in high school where I thought that I wasn't as smart as everybody because I was the loud one. You should do something with your voice because you're so loud. So I thought that being loud was the only talent that I had until I became a dancer. And then until I realized, well, let me use my big mouth. And then I ended up being on radio. And then I ended up being a host. And I had to realize that being shut down by someone else's words wasn't the end. The end is when I say it is. And the words that come out of my mouth and my own manifestation is what's going to stop me or start me into the direction that I need to go. So I will say, going off what you said, Roxy, just sitting back and listening, as a, moderator, I really just wanted to pose the question and just let you guys go at it. There's times that I wanted to stop and say something, but I'm like, whoa, use this space just as those that are on that are tuning in and that will tune in later to learn from others. I mean, again, we don't have to be the ones that start the conversation or the ones to end it. Sometimes we got to be the ones that sit back and listen. I will say Jasmine has seen that with me, with what we've dealt with, some things this year where I told my students, I said, we don't have to be the first ones to speak on the subject, and we don't want to have to be the ones to close it out. Sometimes we got to be the ones to allow everyone else to think that they're being the voice, and let ourselves sit back and let the truth come out, or let ourselves sit out and be the leaders that are silent. And I kept that word all the way from September, did I not, Jasmine? And with that, I learned a lot about myself. That again, I don't have to be the ones that start the one that starts the conversation or ends it. I need to be the one sometimes sitting in the space and listening, so that if something happens again, I gain that knowledge and I can speak on whatever it may be to encourage others, or also to continue to encourage myself. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I thank you all. I know that our sister Lakeitha Blakeney had to step off because as we do, we are all juggling so many different jobs or using our talents in ways so that we can continue to be great. So as we end this call, I've already pretty much gave my last remarks. I'd like to go around and allow everyone to give their last quick remarks, a good 30 seconds, and then hopefully we'll be able to bring this back and talk about some other things. So let's starting from the bottom. Now we're here. We'll go Jasmine, Roxy, and Kwamika, and then Destiny.
Okay, well, first I would like to say that being the youngest one on this panel, it has been a pleasure and an honor to sit with women that are older than me to give me insight and powerful words.
Why don't say older than you? Can we just be wise?
Yeah, you're wise. Older than wise. You gotta let me finish. But yes, wise women. Yes, and I really appreciate all of you because it has also opened my mind, and just being able to see other women who are wise to let me know that words are powerful. Every woman on this panel is very articulate. Every woman on this panel is very intelligent, and it shows through our conversations and how in depth they are, and just how powerful this conversation can be when others hear our voices. And I'm just really grateful and happy to be here and just listening to everyone. And yeah, like I'm speechless almost because I'm just really grateful. I'm really honored that Miss Shalia allowed me to be on this panel with you all.
I feel the same way as Jasmine. It's been my pleasure to be on this panel with y'all ladies. I was just writing down a couple things as people were talking, and one of the things that I'm really, really going to take with me when we were talking about, the angry Black woman like title that gets thrown on us. Somebody said, and I don't remember who said it, but somebody said, you know what, even if you are angry, so what? Like, your feelings are valid. And that really resonated with me. And I'm going to take that with me. And I just want to repeat that for anybody that, is watching now or may watch later. Like, your feelings are valid, whatever those feelings are, even if it's anger in that moment. Don't let anybody make you feel small, and don't let anybody make you feel wrong for feeling the way that you feel.
I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure to be on this panel, to have these discussions that we have had. We have touched on some interesting topics. I appreciated our little pre-session that we did, and this was just a continuation of that. I look forward to having further conversation with you ladies. I would really love it if the next time we could get together, like in person or something. I think it'd be great if we was able to record us just being in person, having a nice glass of wine or something while we talk about this, because I could have used it. But yeah, so thank y'all.
The first thing I want to say, of course, is, thank you, Shalee, for allowing me to be a part of the panel, and everyone on here. I happened to end up on here with, two of my sorority sisters, so that's amazing. And then we were talking about an amazing accomplishment of one of our other sorority sisters. It's always a pleasure to be with my leadership sister, Ellie B. And Roxy, I adore you too, Big Ram fam. I appreciate the conversation. It definitely was therapeutic for me for what I'm going through right now in my life. But the only question I do want to ask is, why y'all didn't tell me I could have put on my WSSU sweatshirt and I got on pearls and the church dress? I'm telling y'all did me dirty. And but I still love y'all though, because I could have put on my sweatshirt and my Adidas pants. I got on the church dress and some pearls, but I love y'all though, okay?
I told y'all she always has something in.
Look, now you have to
something in her pocket.
You have to represent. Well, I gotta go after you. Okay. So look, I am always happy to take up space with Black women. It's everything. It is life-giving, especially with how much we pour out. I know folks were listening, but like, I really feel poured into it, like we poured into each other, and that's always amazing. Shalee, you have a gift beyond measure. The fact that you can pull this together and make it happen, and it's not as much as you send your scripts and say this is how things are going to go. With you, the organic quality just follows. And so this was, if we were at a kickback, all we were missing was our wine glasses and chilling. This is how a conversation would happen. It would just be, girl, you saw what happened on TV? And you know what that girl did at work with me the other day? And that's how this conversation flowed. Like, everything from vulnerability to strength, to courage, to I'm tired. And that was your vision and your gift that you gave. And I'm thankful, sis. And I appreciate you. All I can say is, moving forward, we need more folks to buy in to womanhood. And this needs to go across genders, because we need everybody to understand the importance that it is, the title, the position, the fashion, the everything that comes with mothering, with womaning, with however you show up in your womanness. It needs buy-in from all, so we can be a more equitable space.
And with that, everyone that's viewing, I'm telling you, if you didn't get to watch this from the beginning, please make sure to go to our WSSU Facebook page or our WSSU YouTube page to check out what we discussed today. Again, our topic was redefining womanhood. I want to thank you all for trusting in me, trusting in this whole platform. And a lot of you I continue to bring back, and all I'm doing is continuously adding. I wish I had to be really selective, because there's about 10 other friends that, as I was talking, I said, dang, I should have brought them on the panel. But we'd be talking all night long. Speaking of that, it is 9:12. We were supposed to be done by like 8:30, 8:45. We know Roxy got to get up in the morning so she can wake me up so I can hear them talk. Roxy, can I say something? That voice you be doing when you be getting up and you be going like that, I die every time. Destiny, if you can go online and pull it up early in the morning, you got to hear Roxy. She has me dying. She be like, everybody, I don't know. That is a character that needs to have its own TV show, honey. Every time I love it. I love it. It is you. It is authentically you in your talent, and I love it, and it kills me every time.
Thank you, Shalee. Thank you.
So serious. I love it. So, I just think I know that this is the, what do we call it? The sounding board for us. Everybody, y'all have each other's email addresses. We got ways to contact each other. Let's make sure we're reaching out to each other and utilizing each other any way that we can. Jasmine's going to be, she got one more year here at Winston State, so she's got another year with me. I'm going to continue to utilize her. You have big sisters now. Not only big sisters, you got your sorors as well. But you also have, I think I love it. It's beautiful. But you also have, other women to reach out to. And across the board, there's so much talent. If it doesn't come from the background in education, it also has the talent of, or if it doesn't have the background, Kwamika is going to help me to, get into the home ownership. It's so much that in individually that we have that we can continue to pour into each other and use each other. So for those of you that ever get tired of seeing these ladies, I'm sorry, because they got so much to give, and I'm gonna continue to bring them into this space. So again, thank you all, and we're gonna go ahead and tune out, and y'all have a good evening. I'll be talking to y'all later. So Winston State University alum, whoever has tuned in, thank you guys for tuning in and sticking with us, and everyone have a great day. Evening. It is the end of the day. Oh, throw those W's. Destiny, throw that W up so you know where it's at. SU, get it up. Let me see. Ooh, I like that. All right. Y'all have a good night.